The only reason it's still flying is because it's an American Global Hawk.
No,
I'm just saying they
I was trying to
probably see that in the
number
fact
what
that
they
when that
used
plane-
all on Moscow. I was just mentioning Bayraktar because that was a disruption. They masked the numbers when they were attacking. That's what they do. The massive, overwhelming numbers, as much as they can. That's what they were doing since beginning and later, as much as they can, collect and control. That's the way to overwhelm the fence. And every ship, no matter how much old or it's if it's in service, it's valuable. Can't claim it's too old or not good. It has some purpose. It has some service life what they presented. And the problem why by now four ships and one submarine is taken out, it's because the by agreement the during the war in around Baltic Black Sea, the Turkey is not allowing any war ships to pass through the Bosphorus. So as much as they destroyed, what they destroyed maybe 5% of the Russian ships in the Black Sea, military ships, navy ships. They reducing their numbers. They cannot import them through the Volga or anywhere into the Black Sea.
But
It's
it
not,
wouldn't
They
matter.
don't need these ships for Ukraine and to the battle in Ukraine themselves. They have other stuff to use. They have still the planes. They have a lot of planes, and they don't even use them all. They don't even use the planes like they should be using them. These ships and the Black Sea Fleet has no problem even to not use them. Russia don't need these ships. Maybe for what's happening on the Black Sea, but even that, they have another problem, and those are these Ukrainian drones, boat drones. They're is making everybody afraid. These drone boats. It's not a good thing. Russia, for attacking Ukraine, doesn't really need these ships to
Yeah,
attack Ukraine.
they're only sending them out just for practice, for training session, to do firing, and expand some of the old
I mean,
stuff.
and honestly,
And I think-
that's really all they need to use them for is they load them up with a Zircon or whatever, a cruise missile. They sail to some launch point, shoot everything off at Ukraine, then turn back and go to port where it's safe. I mean, I that's what I would do anyway. There's no reason for them to just sail around for no reason. I mean, you might as well just keep them underneath a
And
huge air defense umbrella.
And
I
also
mean, think about
consider
I don't even know what the range is on those missiles, but I mean, imagine they wouldn't have to go more than maybe 100 miles from their home port, launch, and then turn right back around. And then you probably have massive air cover while they're out, plus SAM cover. So, I mean, it's just like the backfires in the Bears. They can drop missiles and bombs and probably never even leave Russian air defense cover and turn around. I mean, hell, they could probably literally take off, launch a missile, turn around, and land.
Yeah,
Because
that's
of the
basically what they do. So the
if
key
they're
point is,
taking off from angles, they can do that.
so the key point is that
that's what I'm saying. I
these
mean, they
Black
can
Sea
take off.
battles, right? So the key point is the Black Sea battles, the sinking of these ships. The key point is that Russia takes the lesson. They will know what it's going to be like in the future naval war. So the Americans still do not know. They only look and then they kind of like guess. But the Russians basically is at the receiving end, and they start to know what is the real threats in the modern war. The drones, the surface drones, and then the missiles. Then you'll probably see a totally new generation of Russian naval ships, maybe in the next 5 to 10 years, that is entirely nothing like what we see now. It might be totally different. Maybe we'll see a return of the gunboats, the missile boats, where they no longer want big boats, because it's dangerous. It become a huge target. Just like military ground warfare has changed. There is no big gathering like what the Israeli is doing in the Gaza Strip. That is a no in modern warfare. If it's a full army against a full army, that is just waiting to die. There's a huge cluster of troops. Now we see in Ukraine war is just small squads with a few armored vehicles, and that's one attack. We don't see huge columns. Very very rarely now, and huge columns are just big targets nowadays.
Yeah, and if they really want to use
big
something,
Russian column. I mean, granted, it could have been.
if they really want to launch something from the Black Sea, they have submarines. Turkey not going to spot these submarines. They really want to launch some Zarkons of some ballistic missiles from a submarine. They can do that. No problem. They're never going to
Oh,
try to attack Houston.
I think all it is just the thing is that Russia learned that they got to operate in a certain part and it's not safe somewhere else. But it doesn't
Exactly.
really, it might affect a few targets they can hit from that area. But I would imagine with the range of those missiles, they could probably sail somewhere pretty quick, take a shot, and go right back to the safety of the harbor.
But we have to be honest to ourselves that the Russians are still cocky sometimes. I mean, there are several instances, especially around Avdiivka and the northern part of Avdiivka, where they underestimate Ukrainian capabilities. And I have the feeling that sometimes that is really like completely useless. I mean, they could easily avoid casualties just by respecting the Ukrainians in some sectors. Like literally in northern Avdiivka, what they have done, I think it's a really good example. You saw what happened in Vuhledar, you saw what happened in Robotyne, the Oryhov sector. What are you doing in the day, like middle of the day, armored columns in a fortified area? It's just
That is the risk that you take if you want to push.
Yeah, but
That's
the thing,
risk you want to take.
with that particular incident, you had, they said 2 to 3 brigades in that operation. So you had 8 to 9 battalions. So out of those 8 or 9 battalions, they posted a video of one battalion that got the shit knocked out of it. They did, all the other battalions took damage that day too, probably just not as bad. Maybe some didn't get damaged at all. It was a push designed to take that terrain feature like the volcano and everything else. They had to figure out what was there. They totally changed up their tactics and just bum rushed them. That's why they took more casualties. They were willing to do that. That was what they agreed to do, decided to do, and it paid off. I mean, they could still be sitting where they were 2 weeks ago and doing the ground and pound and get it eventually. But for whatever, winter's coming. They want to seal off Avdiivka. They've got to get that coke plant done.
But to me, in the last couple of months, especially what we saw in Bakhmut, is that the Russians have a clear advantage in the night because the Ukrainians only have a bunch of vehicles and like equipment that can operate in the night, and they use it in a Robotyne area. So why not trying to use a different tactic, doing it in the night with all the columns? I mean, we clearly saw that all this new Western stuff with all the thermal imageries, etc., was in the Zaporizhia region. So the
Ukrainians tried to go at night.
Why not?
They got slaughtered.
To me, it feels like that they haven't learned in this case. I mean, just try something different if you want to do something. But
they do.
The first 1.5 weeks, but the first 1.5 week in the northern of Avdiivka was just completely messed up by the Russians. Sorry for saying that, but it wasn't good in the north of Avdiivka. It was just a mess by the Russians. They could have done clearly better. Just try to do it in the night. You had the clear advantage.
No, in the night you have the lack of visibility.
But I mean, you can't always pick when you go.